Fintech Chatter TV. Presented by Tier 1 People. Leaders in Fintech Executive Search.
Pretty big. Joined with my main man, first person I see, Mr. Vallas.
It's nice to be here on
Consistently encourage innovation, and we must continually engage people on the impact of technology. So these 5 E's: to enhance, empower, envision, encourage, and engage. These 5 E's sets the backdrop for Singapore's fintech journey to harness the full potential of technology and innovation and to become indeed more resilient as a country.
There's all kinds of stuff going on, but the ability to actually then swap that token in an instant atomically creates new markets, new opportunities. So I think there's a lot of upside purely from an infrastructure.
It's Ryan from Cape. Imagine seeing you here, Ryan.
I've seen you here as well, mate.
Yeah.
What brings you here?
Mate, it's a little quieter than it was before. It was crazy.
Everybody just went over to the Deputy Prime Minister. I think that was like moth to a flame. They all descended on him.
Yeah.
So he just came out from the main stage.
First Singapore Fintech Festival, how would you rate it so far?
Energy here is just nuts. Like, absolutely incredible. Speakers in terms of who they've got on the main stage is actually insane. They've got one of the founders of Coinbase here. I can't wait to see. Otherwise, yeah, you can feel the hustle and bustle bumping into a lot of familiar faces from Australia and the UK.
Yeah.
So a lot of people I haven't seen for a couple of years, which is good. And then you yourself, obviously, I just bumped into.
Like, this is huge. What are your thoughts as a business leader on the opportunities here in Singapore?
It's undeniable, the opportunity in the ASEAN region. In terms of Singapore in particular, the thing that's definitely struck me is there's a big difference in terms of the Australian market, where we've got this oligopoly in terms of focus with the big four. Over here, it's a very competitive market. Like, they do have some of the big banks, but there is a lot of different options for consumers and small businesses, so there's not the same grid. But it means that there's a lot of innovation here. Like, walking through the stands, you see that everybody is like raising their game constantly.
Fintech Festival for the Poly Fintech 100 API Hackathon 2022. My name is Fiona.
Here we go.
Super excited to be your MC this afternoon. Well, I can see a lot of movement happening around here.
Double
We do have
espresso.
some available seats on this side.
The proof's in the taste.
Feel free to take seats. And very, very soon we will be seeing some very young talent
that's good.
coming up on stage, pitching.
Thumbs up
their
to the
best
robot
ideas,
coffee.
bringing it forward,
Actually,
and
really not that
hopefully
bad.
impressing our judges
What do you think, folks?
Well, it's been a massive first day at the Singapore Fintech Festival. We're around about 3 p.m. and we're going to go and have some more meetings. But yeah, it's been nice just to get a breather. But wow, there's got to be, I think, around about 50,000 people here today.
Instant remittance, atomic settlement, programmable money, tokenized assets, and trusted sustainability data. Reminders that everything we do in finance, in technology, and in fintech must have a larger purpose. We want to expand economic opportunity, enhance social inclusion, reduce risk, and protect our planet. The essential feature of the 5 fintech projects that I described to achieve these desired outcomes is collaboration. Collaboration between the public and private sectors. Collaboration between incumbent financial institutions.
Okay, so for our next speaker, he is the co-founder of Ethereum and a researcher at the Ethereum Foundation. In 2011, he co-founded Bitcoin Magazine. And in 2013, he published a white paper outlining the ideas that shaped Ethereum. And now, Vitalek Buterin is with us today.
Sorry. Great. So I'll start off by just giving a recap of one of the really exciting things that's happened to the Ethereum protocol this year. It's actually the biggest change to the Ethereum protocol that has ever been made, and the culmination of 8 years of work in the Ethereum research and development ecosystem, which is the merge. Right? So what is the merge? So up until about a month and a half ago, Ethereum was now Ethereum consumes less energy than basically most mainstream, even centralized web services that everyone uses today. Now, saving electricity is not the only benefit of the merge, right? So the Ethereum proof of stake consensus design is this parallel design that has this, or powerful design that has this concept of parallel confirmations, where instead of every block with the transactions inside of that block slowly getting more and more secure as new blocks get added on top of it one by one, the way that happens in proof of work, in this proof of stake design, there are many thousands of validators that are making what are called attestations, these confirmation messages on each block in parallel. And so a block has a very high degree of security, even only a few seconds after that block gets published. We can actually see this in the data. So forked blocks are basically blocks that looked like they were going to get confirmed briefly, but then something just get their hands around the system and better understand what's going on and how to participate, verify that everything is secure. And a month and a half ago, basically the part of the Ethereum blocks that contains transactions and everything that's involved in Ethereum's actual operation stopped being part of proof of work blocks and instead became part of the proof of stake blocks. Now, proof of stake comes from being the assets and the proof of the assets that you put in within the Ethereum system itself. The road to the merge was this January 2014. I published this blog post called Slasher, which was our very first.
Well, I'm joined by Brady Olsen, obviously a super big friend of the show. We've caught up in Australia, we've caught up virtually, and now we're here in Singapore on your turf.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you, thank you. First of all, what do you make of the festival?
It's huge. It's huge. It's a pretty good event. Like, there's robots making coffee. Every single fintech company you've ever heard of is here.
Yeah.
And a whole lot of awesome Aussies as well.
Yeah.
So it's been a big week.
Yeah.
And lose my voice. I was at the APAC Asia, or the Agri-Food Innovation Summit last week. Just got my voice back, I think, enough on Monday, and I think it's already gone. So obviously a lot of interesting people here, a lot of good conversations.
Yeah, and we've just come out of the presentation by Vitalek as well.
No.
How do you think that went?
Well, I do always have a bit of a fangirl moment when I see Vitalek. So, I don't know, this is the first time I've heard him speak post-merge. Super interesting to hear, the commitments of the Ethereum Foundation now that they have finally, after 8 years, seen this merge happen, to things like, scalability, security, and user experience. I think the user experience part's really interesting to us, how we actually onboarding end users into the Ethereum network. So yeah, it was great. He's super interesting guy to listen to speak, hey?
Yeah. Frankie One, Trollo, Fiora, Civic Ledger, Guy, Insurance Lab, BTC Markets. Really great to see so many big businesses out here like Manuva and Novarti as well. We'll be chatting to some of these guys today and throughout the rest of the event. But one thing that I think is really important to remember, we look at Australia as being this kind of hub or launch pad to Asia, but the reality is I think Singapore really is that market that connects Southeast Asia together. So it's critical, I think, for any business who's looking at Asia as a play that they come to Singapore.
I'm with Johnny Wilkinson of Equitize. Johnny, it's been ages since we've had you on the podcast, but great to do it in person.
Thanks for having me, good to see you.
Mate, so how have you found the Singapore Fintech Festival so far?
It's great. It's probably one of the best conferences I think I've ever been to. It's great to catch up with people you haven't seen for a while. A lot of the themes and the content are really stuff that hasn't been scratched away at properly in the Australian fintech ecosystem from what I'm exposed to. So it's been great. It's, always good to see people that you haven't caught up with in a while. Even people across the region that are doing interesting things or you've connected to pre-COVID and seeing them again. There's a lot of opportunity and it's quite beneficial for spending some time with those people and trying to get things going.
Yeah. So you touched on kind of some of the narratives that are really kind of being drilled down on at this conference. What's the one thing that you've got where you think, hey, this is going to be huge?
I think it's probably across the board that blockchain is finally actually starting to get proper use cases that's being supported by government, and particularly if you look at the Singaporean government and MAS, they're actually investing in supporting and building out the infrastructure, a lot of different use cases and all these sorts of things that allow it to establish. So I think it's we're at the point it's finally coming to fruition. The actual technology and protocols are working in a scalable fashion, and then use cases are practically being applied that are making sense.
Yeah, there's a massive presence by blockchain, digital asset, kind of crypto firms here as well.
Yeah, obviously I think the majority of the sort of companies presenting and sponsoring here are crypto alternative asset based. So that I'm sure is part of the theme, but it is obviously at that point in the evolution of the technology where it's finally taking hold, so it's great.
Thank you. Well, we have a little more than minutes left. You have got an in-principle approval to run in Singapore.
Yeah, and very excited to have that.
And any quick plans for Asia, Singapore as a founder? What's our top 2-3 things you are planning to do out of Singapore?
Yeah, well, I mean, so first of all, we love Singapore. The mission of Coinbase is to be...
Love Singapore, can you repeat again?
We love Singapore. And our mission is to increase economic freedom in the world. So Singapore is, I think in the 2022 rankings, the highest economic freedom country in the world. So in a sense, we want to see the miracle that happened here recreated in more and more countries around the world and give that kind of opportunity to billions more people. And I think crypto is this unique innovation and invention that is going to allow economic freedom to be created in all these different countries around the world. Property rights and free trade and rule of law, and these are all things that are kind of inherently in the properties of cryptocurrency. I believe it allows anybody to store their own wealth in a way that it can't be taken from them or manipulated. So anyway, we're very passionate about that. Asia is a huge continent, and we want to make sure that we're serving customers all over the world.
So come back to Singapore Fintech Festival next year. We'll have a bigger story to talk to. Do call out regulators if you think we are not in the right direction.
Yeah.
And as a regulator, we always take feedback, but we have a responsibility to protect our customers.
Of course.
And we'll do everything to do that, but we are open to advice.
I mean, we had Brian Armstrong this morning, CEO of Coinbase, and he was talking with the Monetary Authority of Singapore. I caught the end of that chat, but you sat all the way through it. What was it like?
I'm so glad I got to catch that conversation. It was a really sophisticated debate, done gracefully and with humor, I'll say. So, I really commend both of the speakers. Brian Armstrong this morning was such a good advocate of our industry, and in a very reasonable way kind of set out in defense of crypto and said, why are you, the regulator, telling the media that crypto is unsuitable? He had a great statistic from Coinbase's user base that more than 50% of Coinbase's users are using crypto for other than just trading.
Yeah.
And also pointed out to the regulator that not all trading is speculation as well. Trading is a legitimate use case. But he listed a whole bunch of the use cases for crypto that he's seeing with his customers and said, does Singapore really want to be a tech hub? Because some of Singapore's posturing in recent months, and including here at the festival, has been they're not really welcoming trading, they're not welcoming speculation, they're not here promoting crypto, they're supportive of blockchain, not crypto. And so it does feel like, a bear market when you hear these kind of lines. We kind of know where we're at in the cycle at that point. But, it was a healthy back and forth between the regulator and Brian. The invitation from the regulator was, we want industry to give us feedback and engage. Yeah. But it's a valid question that Brian put forward in saying, there is a global competition going on here. Where does Singapore stand? But at the moment, what Singapore is saying to the market is, we love innovation in payments. We love innovation in infrastructure. We're not going to be a hub for crypto speculation.
Yeah. What I found really interesting as well was not only the stance on that, but if you look around, I don't see any lending businesses here, and we've got like thousands and thousands and thousands of businesses here with stores, and I haven't seen a single lender.
Yeah, it is really interesting to see how the tone has changed over the years and where we stand now. And so with Singapore wanting to attract payments innovation and capital markets infrastructure and talking about settlement infrastructure, for example, I don't really know, what kind of figures they might be targeting internally in terms of, do they have, target number of, we want this many thousand jobs in Singapore, we want this many, $1 million brought in, or added to GDP in the next quarter. So, that is something that I would like to get across over the next day or so, because taking this more conservative approach, you would think that maybe there's some other opportunity that they're eyeing.
Fintech Chatter TV. Presented by Tier 1 People. Leaders in Fintech Executive Search.